they suing them. Like, see, what they do is they give you they their thing is control. As long as they control you, they don't know. They don't, for the most part, they don't care how you act. Because at the end of the day, they want to come back and usurp everything. Just in case you don't abide by. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case you don't abide by. Oh, we'll take it from later. Let's take it from 10 years from now. You know, they hype you up in the media. This corporate media is something else, man. Malcolm said it the best. He said the corporate media have a good man looking bad and a bad man looking good. You know?
You know, Imam Waterfield Muhammad, may Allah have mercy on him, he said something really deep. And I really want to share that with you all and share it with all of the followers, because it's something I've reflected upon a lot since I heard this statement. And he said the most powerful driving force for the colonizers and for their children is power and control. And he said the most powerful force for us, their former slaves, is rest and relief. So you find us, we say, yeah, I'm going to get a bag. Get a bag to do what? To go to Tulum, to take it easy, to sleep, to get relief. Why is that? I'm not criticizing us. I'm just saying that when you beat a people for so long, their reflex becomes, I need to, you know, you see people work. Man, I just want to make it to the weekend. I just want to just get some rest. I just can't take it no more. Their perspective, because freedom, right? And I've heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say this. He said, you don't know the definition of freedom. Because freedom doesn't look to them the way it looks to you. Our definition of freedom is going to and from work without being pulled over, without being harassed, making it home safely, getting our paycheck, getting all the overtime hours we work for, getting a day off when they let us get a day off. And for us, especially if it's a so quote unquote good job, you know, and living in a quote unquote good neighborhood where half the neighbors don't look like us, then we feel like I'm free. Whereas their definition of freedom is that if I decide right now I want to go parachute off of Mount Everest, right, I can do that. And can't nobody stop me. Their definition of freedom is when they get pulled over by the police, they question him and say, I pay you. Who are you to pull me over? That's why they behave differently than us. See? Their behavior is different because the way they define freedom is freedom itself. The way we define freedom is I'm being left alone for a moment. I'm getting a little rest now. And we got to undo that mind control. We have to be about power and control of our own destinies, our resources 24/7. Even when they are trained to even vacation with the intent of being in power and controlling, because they don't live a life that they feel they have to escape from en masse as a people, because they run everything. See, they run everything. But, you know, in our case, until, you know, we take back our sovereignty in its totality, we have a much smaller view, you know.
And to your point about taking control, we can never even understand faith until we learn how to master and control our own emotions, because our emotions tend to make decisions for us rather than you know, sound thought. And Anwar Muhammad taught us that, Master Muhammad taught him that, you know, we need to master our emotions. You know, we need to master our emotions. And so I learned, like, with Caucasian people, you know, they don't tend, I can't say that generally, but what I have seen in my experience, those who have been successful, they don't make decisions based off emotion, whether it's in marriage, warfare, or anything. And so when how this really solidified in my mind was when I went to Tanzania, and I saw, you know, a lot of Caucasians and marrying young black men and women. And I was like, oh, I'm just like, oh, white women and white men marrying young, beautiful, handsome black men and women in these countries. And I was like, why do they do that? They said, oh, they want to get citizenship. They'll pay them some money. So it has nothing to do with emotion. It's a business that they're doing. And it was an island. And I learned that Bezos owns an island over there. You can't even go over there. It's an island in Tanzania off the coast of the other part of Tanzania, but Dar es Salaam, right? There's an island, and he owns that island. And I'm just like, what I'm saying is like, even for us to master, to even understand master faith or understand faith, you gotta master your emotions. You're gonna be faced with so much that's gonna challenge you, and your emotions can't dictate how you move. People told me it wasn't gonna work. Oh, nobody wants to do that. You know, I'm sure you faced so much in your lifetime, Brother Hassan. You as well, Brother Enoch. You know, especially launching Hip Hop Detox. You know, but with us, they rule us with our emotions, and so if you watch this corporate media, I had a friend who worked for Fox. He said that, man, he said death sells. I forget the time he told me this, and I was like, wow. He's like, we are literally taught that. Like, the first thing you got to hear is like death, 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 death. Something that's gonna strike the emotion. So this is literally how they're controlling people through this TV. They controlling you, and so you don't know that it's the emotions that they're hitting, but naturally you're supposed to feel these emotions. They protect you from so many different things, and so I just want to talk on that because we're still talking about.
You touched upon something, and I wanna shift this to Brother Enoch because you touched upon something that I wanna point out, and I want Brother Enoch to build on this. Then I want to shift it back to you, and that's that. You highlighted a control mechanism that our former slave masters put upon us. You highlighted that, and that is emotional responses to everything. That's what little children do. You tell a child, go to bed, he starts crying. You tell her, no more ice cream, she starts crying. But we're talking about adults, and I'm going to focus on the men right now. I'm just focusing on the men. As a race, we have a habit as a race, melanated folks, and I'm just looking at in the wilderness of North America, of responding to things emotionally as adults. So now if I told you that there was a city in California and everybody wore polka dots on Tuesday, you would naturally think that there was a design behind it. No way they could all agree on doing the same thing in the same day, right? Without there being a design behind that. So there's no way you're going to tell me tens of millions of men have all become a particular way without there being a design behind that. It's not coincidental. There's a design behind that. So what I want to get into is these control mechanisms that they put upon us. I want to know how, I think we lost Brother Enoch. I'll bring him back in. But I want to know how you view deconstructing the control mechanism mindset, that mind control. Because you touched upon something real deep with that, because you see that all the time, and we're unlike any other people. Like, as a group, how was it that all these people, I think he's coming in now. Oh man, don't tell me he's doing that again. Okay, there he goes. I don't know, Brother Enoch, if you heard the whole question.
I heard the part where you were saying, how do you view deconstructing the mindset?
Yeah, the mindset of these control mechanisms, because I gave the example of how anytime you have a group of people agreeing on a particular thing, especially our people, because when it comes to something constructive that's going to benefit us, we can't seem to agree on anything. But when it comes to something that's building someone else's project, we suddenly fall in line. That in and of itself is a control mechanism. So our brother Kabir, he highlighted, in my opinion, one of the control mechanisms that's used to keep us in this condition. What I'm asking you is if you can build on how do we deconstruct some of these control, because that's what you've been doing with your work. Otherwise, you wouldn't have success with it.
Yes, sir. Well, when I mentioned that hypothesis, if all social problems have historical and psychological causes with institutional solutions,
yes.
when you look at that, it's like a math equation, right? So we're looking at the X factor. So we got historical, psychological. Our elder and ancestor, W.B. Du Bois, he pointed out about that double consciousness of Black people, where it's psychologically disabling because we're trying to be American. However, we're in a context that Malcolm X spoke about, whereas you could put kittens in the oven, but it still don't make them biscuits.
Hold on, hold on,
So,
hold on. You gotta repeat that. That was a gem. Yeah, repeat that.
well, the Malcolm X part,
That whole sentence there from W.E.B. Du Bois, and then you like how we are identifying ourselves as something. Well, I'm gonna let you finish it. I don't want to make the point, but you were making a point of what W.E.B. Du Bois said. And then you gave Malcolm's statement as the proof of that.
right? We're dealing with being in a psychologically disabling position where we're looking to be American. However, it was never put into context according to the Constitution and every law you could watch being set up, even the laws that we have on the book today. We are said to be one thing after 1865, but we have never removed that psychologically disabling reality. And everybody that came to do that work was always vilified, because you cannot be your true self if you have that double consciousness going on, where you feel inferior and you're less than because you're looking at yourself from that inferior perspective. So Malcolm said, well, you could put kittens in the oven, but don't make them biscuits.
Now,
So
hold on, brother.
whatever.
Hold on. You said that some brothers came to do this work, but they were vilified. Can you name some of those brothers and what work they came to do?
Well, we know Marcus Mosiah Garvey,
right,
was one of the first ones to come to unify us as a people and look at us from the perspective of Pan-Africanism, or as being one people from a mother continent, and all others that's in the diaspora still having one root. So
and what happened to him?
Oh, well, we know that the FBI, before it was the FBI, it was called the OSS.
Mm-hmm.
And so they began doing all types of sabotage work and having black folks as agents amongst Marcus Mosiah. It was able to deport him. So he was.
Would you agree that Medgar Evers was one of those?
I would agree that from Marcus Garvey to Dr. King and Malcolm X, and even to this present day with the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, every black man and woman that stands up to do that kind of work to get us out of that psychologically disabling position mentally, they're always going to be attacked, because, as we say in the street, talk about it, be about it. You got to talk about it, but you got to be about it. Thought precedes action. So if you think less than, then all your behavior is going to be directed towards that which is less than. If you think above and not beneath, and you're shooting towards elevated actions, and your thoughts are being elevated, then that means that's going to produce a behavior, because we know the law of cause and effect is real. So every psychological problem that manifests with us as a people, you see it become very apparent when we try to organize, unify, and build, especially on an economic level. Because when you start dealing with economy or economics, the first measure of unit of an economy is not the dollar bill or what people may look at as that particular country's currency. That's not the first measure. The first measurement of an economy is your time. That's the first unit of measurement, is your time. That's the most valuable resource, because you can't get time back.
Can't get it back.
Time is the only resource that you cannot say, hey, I lost 10 years of time, I can get that back. No, you can lose $10,000. You can get $10,000 back. But if you got to sit down for 10 years, you're not about to get them 10 years back.
No.
So that's what you hear the saying, don't let the time do you, you do the time. Because you're not going to get them 10, 20, 30 years back if you got to sit down for that period of time. So when we start looking at, okay, well, what do I do with my time? How do I utilize my time? All of us have key elements within self: spirit, mind, emotion, body. We all have these key elements. How do we use time to evolve, to elevate, to re-educate, redevelop? How do we use our time towards spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical excellence or wellness or healing even. If we don't do any of those things towards our spirit, mind, emotion, body, then my brother was talking about the matrix. And one of the things that we go into is, well, when you are caught up in the matrix, that means you get what we call R. Kellyitis. And we're not talking about the artist alone, but we're saying that when you have R. Kellyitis, he had a song that basically said that the mind is telling me no, but the body is telling me something totally different. So when you got war going on within yourself and there's conflict going on with yourself, where the spirit don't want to listen to the mind trying to tell the body what to do, and the body is saying shut the hell up, the emotions are all over the place, then you got a war going on within yourself. And if I got a war going on within me, then how am I going to unify with Brother Kabir? And how are we going to unify with Brother Hassan? How are we going to unify with these sisters over here? Everybody is at war within themselves, and there's no peace from within. So we got to make peace with the beast within self first, so then we'll be able to say, hey, I'm at peace within me. I can join you, and I'm not looking for the worst in you, because I don't want to settle on the worst part of you. I want to settle on the best part of you and connect with the best part of you, which all comes from the same source. And then that means that we can move in unity. But if we don't, you know how people used to say all the time, when you come into this meeting, leave all your problems at the door, leave all that. How are you going to do that? You can't leave your problems, conflicts, and issues. As much as people had that saying, leave your problems at the door. No, your problem is about to come in here with us talking about this $10 million deal, this $50 billion project that we want to work on. Every problem, conflict, and issue that you got is coming in the room with us. So the reality would dictate, well, look, we're not going to try to act like that's not reality. However, we're going to choose to say, hey, we know that we're hurting in different ways. We know what we're facing, different challenges, different ways. What we want to do is let's focus on certain realities that we have control over, that we can deal with right now for this hour meeting, right? And then if in the next 10 minutes after that hour meeting, if there's any concerns that you have on any level, I may, or somebody else may have something that can extend to you. So that may help you, because it may affect you in what we're trying to do with this $50 billion situation here. And we're not trying to discount the fact that you're in pain because you lost your son. Your mother's dealing with cancer. You got problems over here with a divorce. We're not trying to tell you come into this meeting and leave all your problems at the door, because that's not realistic. It's going to pop up.
That's right.
And I've seen it too many these last 20 years where it happens. People be in survival mode, homeless, and you trying to tell them to leave their problems at the door, and you wondering why all of their thoughts and suggestions are coming from the perspective of a person who's in survival mode. They can't even see your whole vision. Why? Because they're dealing with a basic need that's unmet. So I say that when we dealing with the reality of things is that, hey, we have to be able to be honest about where we are, because if we can be honest with that, then we can also assess where we can go and how far we can go, within certain groupings, etc. Because that is a real human condition that Black folks are dealing with. It's just that we've been put in the position of being less than. And that's why in the Constitution, it has never been erased about that 13th Amendment, which talks about slavery is illegal in the United States, except if you've been duly convicted of a crime.
Of a felony, that's right.
That's never been stricken away. So if you got that there as a condition, then that means that, okay, we're the only people in this country that there's written words that's predicating our level of humanity. Because at one moment we were 3/5 human. But because of a particular word that was put on a sheet of paper, now you're saying we're not 3/5 human beings. However, the conditions of the heart of many have not changed. They may have been altered a little bit. Language may have been utilized to kind of finesse some things. But in many, those things have not changed. And the most horrible aspect is that inside of many of us, it hasn't changed. And we've accepted that that is a reality. That's just what black folks do. That's just how black folks is. Really? No. It's more than that. However, we have to understand that that's a reality for far too many of us, but we don't have to accept that as a reality. We can challenge that and say, hey, we can grow and evolve. And that's where that faith, Imani, comes in that strong, because it's a faith in the creator, but also faith in ourselves. Because if you don't have faith in yourself, then how are you going to have faith in the creator and you don't even have faith in you? How are you going to say you love God, but you don't like yourself? You look in the mirror and you despise yourself. You despise the way your skin looks. I wish I was lighter. You despise the way your features are. You don't like you. Well, how can you say you love God who you've never seen, but then hate yourself and your brother and sister you see every day? So that's where that faith, that real faith, got to come into play. Say, no, I see value in me. I see value outside of me. I see greatness in me. I see greatness outside of me. I love me, and I'm going to love those outside of me. Why? Because I understand that since faith without works is dead, the more that I work on these things, the more I see change in me. And my brother and sister got the same kind of potential and capabilities I have.
Hey, listen, my son, Brother Umar, the founder of the Bureau of Bullies, he has something that has become a mantra. And I got to call that out right now, man. He says, put I love myself in the comments. So I got to ask all y'all in these comments based on what our brother dropped. Put that in the comments. I love myself. You have to love yourself. Yeah, that's real. Yeah, put that in the comments. And Brother Enoch, you said something real powerful. I mean, you said so much, man, but something about that Constitution and how you brought that around to this whole concept that we under, this whole thing of Imani, is that, yeah, they put in there that we were 3/5 of a man. Then they passed this thing saying that they abrogate slavery. They get rid of slavery, right? And this is the first time in recorded history, because in the original draft of the Constitution, there was no mention of slavery. None. So this is my question. How is it that you abrogate something that's not even in the original contract, the original document? So that thing about slavery is finished with, it was never in the Constitution to begin with. So where did it come from? It came from Imani. They believed that. The colonizers believed that. See? So once you know where they stand and what they believe in, you know how to deal with them. That's a heavy point you made. Go ahead, Brother Kabir.
Man, our brother Enoch was saying so much, man, based on the original question you asked. And, it just had me thinking about, much of what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been, teaching us, over these last 40 years. And one of the things that stood out to me was, he said, self-improvement is the basis for community development. And so Brother Enoch said, how can you say you love God whom you've never seen, but you look in the mirror, you don't even love yourself. And that's why I love what Brother Umar said. I love myself. It starts with love, right? And it starts loving the truth. The truth of what? The truth of even you. Is this who you are? Do you got a mark on your face? Do you, whatever the case may be, is that the truth? Good. Love the truth. Number one. So you're right, it all begins with love, but at the root of it, self-improvement, self-love. It has to start there, because we talk about all these great leaders, from Marcus Garvey, the great Marcus Garvey, to, you name them, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the minister, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Warwick Dean Muhammad. You talk about all these great leaders, Journey of Truth, all of these great men and women, but they have found that in themselves. What they were striving to do is to help us find it in ourselves, because when they go, then, who else is left? You don't need to look to someone else. They're trying to establish the same mind in you, so that if I go or you go or he goes, it doesn't matter. We have the knowledge. That's why unity is the greatest solution. It's our only solution, because and it starts with self. You have to learn yourself, master yourself, love yourself, and be okay with who you are. There's value in each and every one of us. So stop looking at these stars that they put in front of you. Because most of the time, what you don't know behind them, who's running them, like I gave an example of Moneybagg Yo. If you really was a star, you wouldn't be looking at somebody else to be them. They got their name on there. Why you want their name on you? I wear Credit Fixer shirt almost every day now. Not because I thought about it. I'm just like, shit, I got other clothes, but I'm always putting it. Why? Because I created the shirt. I made the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Why not show me? Why would I keep showing other people and building them? Because that's showing me that I think more of them than I think of myself. And so subconsciously, we don't even recognize these things, but we're trained day in and day out to look at something else other than looking at yourself. And so, again, self-improvement is the basis of community development, because it takes a community to actually build a world. And it takes that idea. But if I can establish that same idea in you and her and him, and it don't take you to be an adult. As quick as you can comprehend something, that means that you can do something. You know? And so people worry, oh, my child, he can, he's in like, man, you can teach a child calculus. I was in class with a 13-year-old at 23 in college with a 13-year-old in Calc 2. So, I mean, that's just simple math, right? You know, we talk about kinetic energy and potential energy. That's nothing but mathematics, right? You know, in Islam, we say Islam is mathematics. And mathematics is Islam. It can be proven in no limited time. But what does that actually mean? Islam is the truth. Only the truth. Mathematics is true. You can prove it to be true. So Islam is true, right? And so truth will always defend itself. And so when you learn to stand on truth, and no matter what that is, even if it's something that you did wrong, stand on the truth of it, because then you don't carry a burden.
You got to say that again. You got to say that again. Even if you did something wrong, say that again.
Even if you did something wrong, you know, stand on the truth of it, right? Because we carry a burden when we hold that lie. Whenever you do something right, you don't even think about what you did. But when you done something wrong, you always uphold. But that's exactly why, you know, this earth, this world that we living in is so burdened right now. Elijah Muhammad said that, I think he said that the earth is burdened right now. Earth weighs 76 sextillion tons, followed by 21 ciphers, or that means zeros, followed by 21 more zeros. So that's how much the earth weighs, right? But you say there's a burden on it, right? How? Okay, cool. What is that burden? That burden is these lies. There's a wicked mind, an idea that's on this planet that says that's just created with lies. And so that's the burden that has to be removed from the planet. These lies. This whole country that we live in right now, and most of the countries, these Western countries, were built off falsehood and lies. And now you see the result of it. You said something earlier. They didn't imagine that this world would be the way that it is, because truth. The sun was built with truth, created in truth, and with truth. And so it's been shining for all these trillions of years, right? But you don't see no hiccups in it. And if it was a hiccup, this whole earth would die, because it wouldn't be able to grow food and move and be in motion. Like you said, stay fluid. When you fluid, that means you moving. But when you're not fluid, it stops. And then it just started becoming stinky and nasty and dead. So anytime something is not moving, or you're not busy or doing business, or, and you can put it in so many different ways, then you dead. And so many of us who aren't aware of who we are and how to properly move, and this world is not going to teach you that. So when one comes with the light of truth that can help you see that in yourself, they always want to remove it, because this world is filled with darkness, and it maintains itself off your ignorance and your ignorance. So you the Walking Dead, baby. You ain't doing no thinking up here. You just following. That's why it's like, I'm so, man, what you said was just so powerful to me. And I'm just like, wow, yeah, so it starts with self. And that's why, like, even with Credit Fixer, I had so much belief that in people, that you can do it yourself. You ain't got to look to somebody else to do something for you. It's okay to get help. And that's one of the things I got to work on. I try to do everything myself. Brother Hassan, you reminded me of that the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm seeking. I'm actually trying to learn how to find help. Like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
so that was
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
That's
so easy
deep.
to find like-minded individuals that have the same, that can see the same vision, that want to take it further. And that's what it's going to take. But it takes what? A like mind. That idea. Can I establish? Is my wisdom great enough to establish that idea in you so that you can help move this idea? Because it's not you, it's the idea. And that's why this world that has been built right now, it's been built with that idea that, oh, white is better. You know, this is better. If you, man, it's so, man, it's just a world full of wickedness.
Brother
But
Enoch said at the very beginning when he went through the first principle of Kwanzaa, Umoja, unity, and then we're on the last day of Kwanzaa now, faith, Imani. And when we first discussed it, he said, "Yeah, I want to speak on Imani." And I mean, I see why, but now I want to make the connection between the two is that we can't forget something that, and I'm going to make this point. If you were driving a certain make of car, and every time you started that car up, it broke down or blew a tire, and everybody you know had the same make of car and the same thing happened to them, you would say that that's something's wrong with that car. There's a pattern with that make of car because there's a pattern there. So now I want to draw some attention to this so that we can take heed and know at least what to pray for. That's a deep thing when you got people so terrorized that they don't even know they don't even want to pray for liberation. You know how afraid you have to have someone when they're afraid to you can't even hear a prayer. They're scared to even pray for liberation. And that's this. Every person that comes along in the way of liberating us from that situation, some kind of way, they slip and fall, they get the hiccups, 9 times out of 10, they go to sleep at night and don't wake up in the morning. So I'm not saying this, history says this, there's a pattern there. There's a pattern there. So now when you listen to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is talking about, there's no threats in his language. There's no promises of destruction to anybody from his hand or any of his followers' hands. There's no promises of violence ever. Why does this man have to travel with security like that? Okay, there's a reason. Look at who his contemporaries were and what happened to them. Look at what happened to these men. They're not just dropping down of old age, and things are happening. And so I want our people to realize that there's a bad actor in the midst. And so when you make these preparations, unity is the key for you to exercise your Imani. Why? Because if you by yourself, they're going to add your name to that list. See? But if you unify, they can't do that. They can't do that. So we got to find a way to come together. We got to find a way to come together so that we can express and manifest the fruits of our Imani, of our faith. It's 3:42 p.m. where I'm at. I think it's 4:42 p.m. where you brothers are. We could build like this all night. And y'all know when I'm in your company, that's what we be doing, you know. We have some things going on in Chicago, man. I was there about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Brother Enoch, and he really, really hosted me well, man. I really appreciate that. The brother greeted me with the best bean pie in the city. So I'm forever in his debt. Yeah, so I mean, the brother's literally in the trenches there. Literally in the trenches there with, giving his life's blood to see to it that he saves at least a life. And thus far, I think he's impacted well over, above a quarter million lives just with Hip Hop Detox. I ain't talking about by extension, but I really want to highlight how open he was to assisting in this Kwanzaa Fest, giving of his time and of contacts. Now, you got to study that. When a man gives you a contact, he's vouching for you. That means he's putting his reputation on the line for these people. To me, that's more valuable than money. And he did that more than once to see to it that this event will be a success with him not having any vested interest in benefiting from it. That's what I'm talking about. Like that, is the type of behavior that I've heard you and Brother Kabir talk about we have to have with each other. It was never an energy of, well, what am I getting out of it? Well, how can I? And I mean, it's been, some changes we had to make in it. He was patient with all of that. I never received the energy that was programmed into us by the colonizer, his children. Oh, I knew it wasn't. Oh, see, there he go. None of that. See, so that's why I dropped that on you, Brother Enoch, about how did you deconstruct, because you've been successful at that. Because I see it in your character. I see it in dealing with you. See, and we need to be able to replicate that amongst all of our people, because that's how we work together. Now, me and Brother Enoch sit down and talk about sports. We're not going to agree on all of that, but we together. See? Go ahead, Brother Enoch. I'm sorry.
No. I want to give you a demonstration, and I would like everybody to do this. In the comments, can we all do this? If you have a favorite, let's say, animal or insect or living organism, right, that you say is your favorite. Now, if you don't have a favorite, don't worry about it. You don't have to force it. But if something comes to your mind, a favorite animal that you have or living organism, whether it's an animal, insect, can you put it in the comment? However, when you put it in the comment, I want you to add 3 words that describe how you personally feel about your favorite animal or living organism. And we'll give you like 60 seconds. So it's not a difficult test. Only thing that you got to remember is that when you describe your feelings, you usually got to use an adjective to describe your feeling. Because if you use nouns, then it's not going to give you your feeling. It's just going to give you a thing that you might like, but it doesn't give you your feeling. So name your favorite animal. Somebody put lion, strong, brave, powerful. Perfect. Somebody put shark, constant, forward movement. Since forward movement could be seen as a verb, how do you feel about forward movement? If you can give me your feelings, how do you feel about that which is forward moving? If you could add that, that'd be great. Let me see if anybody else put something. Somebody put, okay, lion, strong, brave, powerful. Okay, go right ahead, brother Kabir, what you say?
I said I got a flight to catch. I got to jump off.
Okay, my brother.
Yes, sir. It's an honor to meet you, with you brothers. It's always an honor. So speaking with you, Brother Hassan, Brother Enoch, is a pleasure seeing you, brother. Finally
seeing you.
Assalamu
alaikum. Yes, sir. Salam. Somebody put love, healing, and strength. Your favorite animal? Okay, an owl. Mysterious, alert, and swift. Okay. Now, for those who answered this particular question, this question is supposed to describe how you see yourself as a person. How you see. So you put strong, brave, and powerful. Would that be accurate? You see yourself in that way?
I guess I do see myself in that way. That's what I put.
Nothing is wrong with that, though. Nothing is wrong with that. Somebody else put mysterious. Somebody else put silent but strong, peaceful, protector. See, if someone would ask you directly, how do you see yourself as a person? We would put all kinds of things because we're concerned about not trying to come off as being braggadocious, or we make, not feel too good about ourselves. We would put something else. But when you ask a question, this is part of what we call the KOS test, which is the knowledge of self test. It's 4 questions. I just gave you one. That question of name your favorite animal or living organism and give 3 words to describe how you personally feel about your favorite animal or living organism. The meaning behind that question is it describes how you really see yourself. And a lot of times when you don't see yourself in the best light, it's because there's so many other influencers that give you a negative feedback. It give you negative insight into yourself, whether it's, well, you got a criminal record, so the record says you this, that, and the other, or your academic record may say this, that, or the other, or you may have had problems in relationships, and so your relationship record says this, that, and the other. However, that's not what is the best part of yourself. That's not the best part of any of us. But we judge ourselves and critique ourselves, and we're so hypercritical of ourselves that we don't even give ourselves a chance to reflect on the best of ourselves. And that's part of the process that demonstrates what you were saying, Brother Hassan, is that I was able to be blessed at the age of 19 to see, hear, and feel people that allowed me to see myself beyond what I went through in my life, beyond me being a runaway from home at the age of 14 and living on the street and going back and forth from house to house. See myself deeper than the 15-year-old who went to jail and had to experience what that felt like, deeper than all the different things. I didn't graduate from high school on time, because I was too busy partying and kicking it and having a good time, quote unquote, in high school. So all those things, that could be used to judge me, and really me judging myself. I'm trying to learn how to sell drugs in high school, because my friends were doing that. So all those things could be used as a justification to see myself as less than, and not recognize that, hey, you're living and you grew up in an environment that was less than what it was supposed to be. Your mom, your dad grew up in an environment that was less than what it's supposed to be. However, the blessing is that you were able to meet people that gave you higher aspirations and information regarding you and your capability and your potential, and put you on a road to see deeper. And that's what is necessary so that we can have sustainable unity. We increase the information and knowledge that we have about ourselves, because the more you know yourself, the more you can love yourself. But the less you know about yourself in a real way, the less you're able to love you. And how can you love you, or how can you say you love God again that you've never seen, but then you hate yourself and hate your brothers and sisters that you see every day? That's because you don't love you, you don't know you. So that means you don't really know God. So that process, that demonstration is just to say that, hey, the more we can point out the greatness in ourselves and accept it, embrace it, build on it, it allows you to see how magnificent the Creator is. And you gotta adore your Creator.
I'm gonna have to speak to the CEO, Sister Renee, and see about having you on again, so you can go over the knowledge of self test, because people need to, be able to benefit from that. But that's a deep thing, like you said, the animals. So that deflects a person from even thinking about, I'm exposing me. So they just say, oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah. But Brother Enoch, we're gonna have to come up off of here, man. Man, you can go all day, man. I'm coming up there. Is that this week, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What, next week?
Yep. Next week. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So I ask Allah to bless you and everybody that joined us. And I really appreciate you taking the time out, because this is New Year's in the middle of the day, short notice. And you made yourself available, man. I'm very grateful for that. And I look forward to, and again, thank you so much, man, because without you and your contribution, much of what we accomplished this past week would not have happened. And so, I have to acknowledge that. I don't believe in, just silent thanks. I'm grateful to you as a brother for your selflessness, for your brotherhood. And since we linked up at the minister's house, that's over a decade ago. You always been the same, Yeah. So, may Allah bless you, and greetings to your wife from us. And I look forward to seeing you soon in Chicago.
Yes, sir. And may Allah bless you with the same, and your wonderful and powerful children. I really enjoy listening from them and all those who work with you and the Bureau Bullies. And I look forward to us doing some mighty work together.
Oh, absolutely.
This year.
Absolutely. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.